Okay, hello everybody. My name is Gergana, but that's difficult to pronounce, so that's why I go by Gery. You should have seen my surname before I changed it. I work for a company called BB-8, and in my spare time, I watch Star Wars and play with my Star Wars droid. This here is BB-8. So let me tell you about where this all started. Not that long ago, in a galaxy not that far away, I fell in love with Star Wars. And if you don't like Star Wars, then you're completely entitled to your own opinion. But whether you do or do not appreciate my Star Wars references, there's no trying to hide them. So what am I going to talk about today? First of all, I'm going to try and explain the hardware to you, but just remember, I'm a software engineer, so I don't do hardware very well. Then we'll go on to the software, the libraries I've been using to hack my BB-8. Then I'll show you a little demo how easy it is to do some cool stuff with BB-8. And then we'll go over some questions if you have any. Cool, so BB-8 was made by a company called Sphero. They're a connected toys company. They have two other toys, the Sphero and the Ollie. It was released on Force Friday, which is something that happens every time there is a new Star Wars movie coming out. They release a bunch of toys related to the Star Wars movie. I'm just going to put this over here. And although Disney owns Star Wars, this is not exactly how BB-8 works. So he's a little bit more complicated than that. So as I said, software engineer, not going to try and explain this very complicated diagram over here. But what I gathered from it is there's a gyroscope inside here and a little metal arm which holds the head in place. The head actually only has a magnet inside it, and the metal arm doesn't move. The gyroscope makes everything move, which also means that BB-8 can work without his head. The other important things in here are a Bluetooth antenna, which is Bluetooth low energy or Bluetooth smart, the new kind of Bluetooth which everyone's phone now has. That's how we connect to BB-8 with this little USB thing over here. And then the other cool thing inside here is a collision detection sensor. So it's not a collision avoidance sensor, sadly, it's a collision detection sensor, which means that BB-8 can only tell you after he has crashed into something. Yeah. Cool, and yeah, there's some other cool stuff about the hardware. I've read a few articles. I didn't understand them too well. If you want to read more about it, come speak to me afterwards. I'll let you know where to find them. The software. Okay, so after many months of Googling and forums and things like that, I found Cylon.js. Now, I know I'm mixing fandoms here, but R2 is for Ruby, and this is a JavaScript conference, and I know nothing about Ruby, so I'll stick with Cylon. Cylon.js is a JavaScript robotics framework. It was built on Node.js. It's open source. It's pretty much a common ground for JavaScript for the Internet of Things. They provide many platforms, a whole bunch of different droids, and Raspberry Pis, Pebbles, drones, a whole bunch of different things you can control with Cylon. And most importantly, they have BLE, which is Bluetooth Low Energy, and Sphero, which is BB-8. And all you need to connect is 3 NPM modules. The 3 I used, at least. Cylon, which is the basic framework of everything. Cylon BLE, which is the Bluetooth Low Energy, how we connect with this little thing to this little guy. And then the Sphero one, which allows us to control BB-8. But it wasn't always this easy. I had a few challenges when I first got BB-8. So because he was released before the movie actually came out, the API wasn't officially released. So there was no way to actually do anything with him. You could control him with Ollie's API, which was the other toy by Sphero. But that one is a lot more limited. It doesn't have as cool stuff as BB-8. So it was pretty much a glorified remote-controlled car. And then I use Windows, the force, the dark side of the force. Yes, USB drivers for Bluetooth devices on Windows don't talk nicely with other things, anything. So yeah, that also took a few months to find a way around. And then the last challenge was the support for Cylon. So even though Cylon's pretty big, it's been around for a few years now, and they have a lot of forums and things. The support for actual Sphero toys on Cylon is very limited. So there was only one page where I actually found some code that I could start with, like copy and paste, and it actually worked. It was amazing. But yeah, after that, everything I had to come up with myself. So running into problems, it was always you Google and you come to that same page with that piece of code, always. So all the other code I had to actually figure out by myself. But yeah, eventually I figured out some stuff, and now I'm going to show you. I'm going to just put him over here. You will see, I promise. I hope you see. Okay, so I've set up a little bit of the basic code over here. So we're just requiring Cylon, and then this data.json is just hiding my UUID. To get the UUID, you just run Cylon BLE scan, but I'm not going to show you that because I'm probably going to get a ton of devices whose Bluetooth is on, and also I don't want you to hack my BB-8. So. Cool. Then Cylon.robot, and you start defining your robot. First of all, you define a Bluetooth connection with your UUID and using the Cylon BLE module. Then you define your device. So we're defining a BB-8 with the BB-8 driver using Cylon Sphero BLE. And then we start working. So in my work function, I've just defined a few basic colors, just so I can show you how he changes colors and stuff. And let's start with something really simple. Yay. Cool. Now let's do something a bit cooler. So let's leave him to change red, and then let's say after about 2 seconds, we can start moving. For the roll function, first thing is the speed, which I think is the RPM of the gyroscope, but don't quote me on that. And then the second thing we define is the direction that we want him to head in, which is a degree between 0 and 359. So I tested this earlier, and 100 is a good speed. That's the other thing. You have to test these things. So on my tiles at home, if I go at 50, he starts sliding around because they're too smooth. Yeah, and let's go forward. And then, because we don't want to go forward forever, after another 2 seconds, we want to stop. And then turn off our color. Okay. Cool. Okay, and then I'm going to show you one more demo. I want to show you how the collision detection sensor works. So let's start with turning that on. I think I spelled that right. Okay, then on a collision, I want to run a function. Sorry, I have a thing about semicolons. Okay, when we crash into something, we want to turn red because that's a bad color usually. We want to stop, obviously. And then after about 2 seconds, that's too many, everything's fine, our head's still on, so we want to carry on. So we can go back to a neutral color, and then roll in the opposite direction from which we came. And then again, once again, we don't want to do this forever. So after about another 2 seconds, we want to stop. Okay, but now we're not actually moving yet, so we need to move forwards. I'm just checking how close to the wall he is. Let's make him a different color. Okay, so what this code does, take you through it quickly. We're first turning on collision detection. Then we're specifying what we're going to do when we collide into something. So turn red, stop. After 2 seconds, turn white and roll in the opposite direction. After 4 seconds, stop and turn off, pretty much. And then this just says start going forward and turn blue. Cool. So let's see if this works. If I spelled everything correctly, it should work. Cool. So that's how easy it is to hack your BB-8 droid. Future adventures. So As I said, the only sensor I've explored is the collision detection one. I don't actually know if it has any other sensors built in, or there are ways that people have actually built in their own sensors into him, but that involves opening it up and the whole hardware thing. Cylon also has an HTTP module, which is kind of cool because then you could control your droid from anywhere. That's something else I'd want to explore. And VR, I noticed that one of the things we got today is Google Cardboard, so I don't have to buy one, it's cool. But yeah, I want to play around with that and make a little app to control BB-8 with your phone via the VR, so you can go on adventures with your droid. And then once you're fully versed in the Force and you have a fully functioning droid, what else do you do but become a Jedi? Thank you very much.
Are there resources for basically the server side? Because if we think of Cylon.js as the client side, so an interface into the robot, how difficult is it to create interfaces if you wanted to, say, build your own BB-8? How available are resources for that?
I haven't actually explored that before. There was an article I read before this toy was released about how you could create your own BB-8 using one of those Sphero toys, which is actually the basis of BB-8. But it was very complicated, and considering those Spheros cost quite a lot of money, it involved cutting it open, and I wouldn't want to do that. But yeah, I haven't actually looked into that, yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
So when you actually run in the code, does the code learn on the robot, so it will just act without actually needing the laptop, or is it communicating constantly with the laptop?
It's communicating constantly, so yeah, via the Bluetooth connection.
Okay,
yeah.
So actually being out of range of the Bluetooth would just stop working?
Yeah, it would stop working completely, yes. Yeah, so the range is only, I think, 30 meters, which kind of sucks. But there are apparently range extenders that you can use.
Does the Cylon.js API automatically know how to pair with the BB-8 using Bluetooth?
So
find the BB-8 on the...
That's the UUID that I was talking about. So yeah, when you run Cylon BOE scan, it gives you that ID, and that's what we specified in that one piece of code, telling it the connection is via Bluetooth with this ID, and each device has its own unique ID. So yeah, if you run Cylon BOE scan in a room like this, there will probably be all the phones that have their Bluetooth turned on, all of their unique IDs will show up, which is kind of hacky, but yeah. Anyone else?
Have you explored like Android like SDKs or anything like that for this kind of stuff?
I haven't. I know there are some because there has been people who have built Android apps, because the actual thing that comes with BB-8 for non-developers is an Android app. So yeah, I haven't actually looked at any though.
Okay, I wonder if like the JavaScript stuff you could use on the phone, like with the mobile web app.
Yeah.
You've got Bluetooth communication, maybe even you could reuse the code.
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah, Cylon has a ton of different libraries, and they have support for a lot of stuff. So there's probably something that they've done for Android as well. Yeah.
Have you looked at other frameworks, perhaps? I don't know specifically about BB-8, but other frameworks for robotics like ROS?
To contact what? Sorry.
How does he contact you if somebody has a problem? They want
there's. I'll share my Force knowledge with you. I'm on Twitter over there. I don't know if you can see my tag. Gery BBG. Anyone else? Gotcha.
Do any of the Sphero toys have like a camera or something built in?
No, so actually BB-8 is pretty much the most advanced of the toys. Yeah, it's the other two are very basic, but yeah, they are building. Apparently, because they're also the company that made the big droid, the one that's in the movie. So they are building new things every day, I guess. I actually heard recently that they're building a life-size one that you could buy as well. So that might be even cooler. Oh, wow, so many questions. Yes.
On the API, is it always procedural, or you can nest an after in another after?
You probably could.
I'm actually interested if you took out that after 4 and said after 2, but inside.
After 2.
But inside.
It would probably work, yeah. Yeah, the after command is pretty
So you can
simple.
change them.
Yeah, you probably can, yeah.